I'd like to ask the Minister for Enterprise what action he is taking to increase the minimum wage.
The Minister to reply, Mr Skelly.
Under the Minimum Wage Act 2001, our department and the Treasury must consult with the Minimum Wage Committee before making changes to the minimum wage. The review process has to balance the desire for an increased minimum wage for all against the commercial needs of our domestic businesses. Honourable members will be aware that the Minimum Wage Committee has recently been taking evidence from interested parties on potential changes to the present minimum wage rates. This evidence is currently being considered by the committee. The Minimum Wage Committee Regulations 2002 prescribe a number of matters that the committee must take into account in considering minimum wage rates. This year, I've asked the committee to review whether these matters should be revised. I have also specifically asked the committee to review the age-based minimum wage categories. It is intended that the committee shall make its recommendations to our department and to Treasury shortly. Department and Treasury shall then consider those recommendations, and the committee's report will be laid before Tynwald following decision how those recommendations are progressed.
Supplementary, Mr Shimmins.
Thank you, Mr President, and thank you to the Minister. The Manx minimum wage for workers 21 years and above is £7.20 compared to the higher rate in the UK of £7.38. For those 25 years and over, it is £7.50, which is again lower than the UK hourly rate, which is £7.83. The rate in Ireland is higher still, at £8.45 per hour. What message does this send to the low-paid workers here who are considering whether or not to stay or move to the neighbouring islands where the minimum wage is higher?
Reply, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for that supplementary from the Honourable Member for Middle. I did state last year that we certainly intend that the top rate of minimum wage should not fall below the UK, and that intention still stands firm. However, we do have a process, we do have regulations that we must follow. I very much accept the comments with regards to the age, which is why I specifically asked the committee, several members raised it last year, specifically asked the committee to consider that particular point, but we do need to balance that against the needs of the vocational training, apprenticeships and so forth, and we await, as I say, the deliberations of the committee, and we, Department for Enterprise with Treasury, will consider that before coming to Tynwald.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Thank you. Can the Minister give an indication as to when he expects that report will be ready to go to Tynwald members, and whether he expects part of that there will be a glide slope towards the living wage?
Aye, sir.
Inevitably, thank the Honourable Lord for his question. Inevitably, the debate gets merged with the living wage, which is obviously a different matter. But I think it's been now a long-held desire of this court that we move towards that. The minimum wage, which is part of the law, we're obviously trying to move that forward as well in an orderly fashion, I would suggest, in a way that we do need to balance the social and political will with the economic necessities. So in terms of timing, I have a meeting with the Minimum Wage Committee, I believe, coming up next week, and at that particular stage we'll be able to consider when we can bring it back to this court for ratification, any recommendation.
Mr Shimmins, supplement.
Thank you, Mr President, and thanks again to the Minister. Would he agree that a lower minimum wage than both the UK and Ireland is inconsistent with the programme for government policy to grow the economically active population?
Mr Skelly.
Good reminder. I once more accept the sentiment. And certainly we have a desire in the programme for government to grow our economically active, and that can mean at very, very different levels. We're very much committed as a department to do that, and we're looking forward to Isle Expo, which is to be next tomorrow, where we're going to talk and promote Locate, working very closely with Treasury, as the member knows, that we do try and increase our economically active, because quite frankly, as it stands right now, with unemployment so low and employment opportunities so high, we need to treat that as a priority, which we are as a department, and we hope to continue to work with other departments to achieve that at all levels.
Final supplementary, Mr. Shimmins.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I'm grateful to the Minister for his response. It does feel it's a bit like Groundhog Day, and it's quite a similar discussion that we had last year. Will the Minister confirm that we will not be having this conversation again next year, and that our rates will not be below both the UK and Ireland?
Right, sir.
As stated in a previous answer, I said last year, and I maintain that our top rate of minimum wage, the Isle of Man, should not fall below the UK. I'm not sure of the balance with Ireland, but certainly that is our intention. But I remind members once more that we must balance that political will, the social will, with the reality, the economic reality, because what we do not want is that we want to push employers into more zero-hour contracts and less employment, because that is a result that you can have if you push too hard, too quick. So the desire is there to drive it forward in an orderly fashion.